home intruder in South Florida got more than he bargained for last week when he entered a Wilton Manors home and was confronted by an MMA fighter. Henny Rojas was sleeping at the residence where his sister lives. When his nephew alerted him to the unwelcome guest, he immediately sprang into action and ran into the living room, where he put his fighting skills to use. Rojas subdued the suspect, later identified as 31-year-old Austin Carasani, until law enforcement arrived. Following his arrest, Carasani told police that he accidentally entered the wrong dwelling after drinking at a nearby club. He claimed he was trying to get to his friend's house, but the excuse did not spare him from the home invasion charge he is now facing. The accused intruder was booked into the Broward County Jail, but no longer appears to be in custody, indicating that he likely posted the $20,000 bond necessary to secure his freedom amid the ongoing case. Number 19. Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas. New Jersey high school students Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas were killed last Monday in Cranford when a Jeep driver rammed into the e-bike they were riding on together. The unnamed suspect, who is also a teenager, fled the scene but was arrested nearby and is now facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. According to one of the victim's loved ones, he was stalking one of the girls who had taken out a restraining order against him. One family friend told CBS 2 that the victim complained but that nothing was done. A neighbor echoed these sentiments, telling a reporter that the culprit sat outside the girl's house every night for 3 months leading up to the deadly hit and run. The suspect is related to Westfield Police Chief Christopher Battaloro, who made an apparent effort to distance himself from the young man in a statement. Battaloro confirmed the connection but clarified that the teen is not an immediate family member and that he doesn't condone the suspect's actions. Number 18. Susanna Gibson Payne. 2 years after her X-rated videos were leaked to the public, former Virginia state legislator candidate Susanna Gibson Payne is facing a domestic violence charge following an altercation with her estranged husband several months ago. After turning herself into the Henrico County Sheriff's Office in late September, the 42-year-old set the record straight. During an interview with the New York Post last week, Payne accused her soon-to-be ex-44-year-old John David Gibson of filing a retaliatory complaint against her after being arrested 3 times amid a contentious child custody battle. Gibson denied the allegation, telling a Post that he has never harmed Payne. He said that his arrest came after he sent angry text messages to Payne's new boyfriend, which he now regrets doing, and that he has never been charged with any crimes against his estranged wife. Payne previously landed at the center of a scandal in 2023 when explicit videos that she and Gibson had filmed were released to the media. She lost the election by less than 1,000 votes and has since become an advocate against gender-based crimes, with her recent arrest only adding to the list of reasons behind her cause. Number 17. Thomas Brown. 4 months after 2 teenagers were murdered in the Arizona wilderness, a suspect has been charged with their murders. 18-year-old Pandora Kjolsrud and 17-year-old Evan Clark were shot multiple times during a camping trip in Tonto National Forest in late May. Their bullet-riddled bodies were found hidden in brush more than a mile from where the double homicide took place, presumably as part of the killer's efforts to prevent the remains from being discovered. The suspect, 31-year-old military veteran Thomas Brown, was arrested on Thursday after being linked to the murders through DNA evidence that was left behind inside one of the victim's vehicles. During an initial court hearing, his attorney said that his client may have had contact with Kjolsrud and Clark, but he denied having any involvement in their deaths. Brown has no prior criminal history, and authorities have not publicly speculated regarding an alleged motive for the crime. He's awaiting his next court date from behind bars at the Maricopa County Jail, with bonds set at $2 million. Number 16. Machete Attack in NYC. Recently captured surveillance footage shows 2 Brooklyn teenagers waving huge machetes in broad daylight after police say they attacked a man during a dispute. The incident occurred last Monday in Borough Park, where the boys could be seen toting the large weapons as they joined a larger group. According to the NYPD, the pair chased an 18-year-old male victim and stabbed him in the back and hip before harassing a 26-year-old man with their machetes. They attempted to flee after realizing they had been spotted by members of an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood watch group called Shomrim. But quick-thinking civilians and police officers soon caught up with them. The stabbing victim was taken to the hospital in stable condition, and the perpetrators were each charged with gang assault, and criminal possession of a weapon. Number 15. Rachele Ricklefs. A Michigan woman is facing a laundry list of criminal charges after striking 11 people during a brazen hit-and-run spree with her children in the car. According to news reports from last week, 30-year-old Rachele Ricklefs began her alleged campaign of destruction in the Detroit suburb of Royal Oak, where she hit a man on a bicycle with her Jeep She then rammed her vehicle into 2 police cars as officers attempted to stop her, at which time her pre-teen son managed to escape from the car. With her other child still in the Jeep, Ricklefs continued on to Hazel Park, where she struck another civilian. She then drove to Warren, hitting more pedestrians in at least 4 different locations along the way. The final 2 victims were hit in a Walmart parking lot where police apprehended Ricklefs as she resisted being taken into custody. Ricklefs faces 10 assault charges in connection with the bizarre crime spree and is currently detained at the Macomb County Jail, with bail set at $750,000 as she awaits an upcoming preliminary hearing. Number 14. Krista Roy. A Missouri mother stands accused of shooting and stabbing her teenage son to death out of a desire to put him out of his misery. 47-year-old Krista Roy was arrested last Monday after officers paid a visit to her St. Charles home, where they found the victim's decomposing remains. Police made the discovery while performing a welfare check at the request of the victim's friends, who had become worried after not hearing from him. For several days following her arrest, Roy reportedly confessed to shooting her son multiple times in his sleep before stabbing him repeatedly. She admitted that the victim did not die immediately and that he had pleaded with her while she continued her efforts to end his life. Records show that she's being held at the St. Charles County Detention Center on a murder charge in lieu of $1 million cash-only bond. Number 13. A.J. Scott. An ex-mayor and former Georgia state trooper will spend years in prison for killing 2 teenagers in a car crash 10 years ago. The punishment against 36-year-old Anthony James A.J. Scott was handed down on Wednesday after he was found guilty in August of 5 out of 6 charges, including 2 counts of serious injury by vehicle and 1 count each of homicide in the second degree by vehicle, speeding, and reckless driving. At the time of the crash, Scott was both a state police officer and the mayor of a small town called Buchanan, which is located roughly 55 miles outside Atlanta. He was driving nearly 100 miles per hour in a 55-mile-per-hour zone in his patrol car when he slammed into a Nissan sedan, killing Isabella, Chinchilla, and Kylie Lindsay, and injuring 2 others. Scott rejected numerous plea offers before being convicted by a jury of homicide by vehicle and serious injury by vehicle. He was sentenced to 20 years with 10 years suspended, which means that he'll spend the next decade behind bars. Number 12. Eli Spice Roy. A member of the Bloods street gang has been charged for his alleged role in a deadly shootout at a Brooklyn hookah lounge that left 3 people dead and 10 others injured. 25-year-old 5'9" Brims Bloods associate Eli Spice Roy is accused of opening fire on rival gang members at the crowded Taste of the City lounge in August. More than 40 shots were fired in just 6 seconds, turning the Crown Heights establishment into what one federal prosecutor later described as a kill zone. Surveillance footage shows panicked patrons scrambling for cover while the assailants shoot at their adversaries from across the room. Included among those killed were Folk Nation Gangster Disciples associate Jamel Childs and 5'9" Brims member Martin St. Louis. Roy was arrested in North Carolina a month after the shooting. Prosecutors revealed details of the case in a newly unsealed indictment charging him with assault in aid of racketeering and being a felon in possession of ammunition, which comes as part of an ongoing federal effort to crack down on gang violence in Brooklyn. Number 11. Michael Harper. An accused hit-and-run driver has turned himself in for the death of a Pennsylvania grandmother who was on her way home with newly purchased Halloween decorations when she was killed in Philadelphia. 47-year-old Michael Harper surrendered last Monday after police say he rammed his Infiniti Q50 into 77-year-old Dorothea Cathell days earlier. According to reports, the suspect struck Cathell while she was pushing a shopping cart through an intersection, causing visible damage to Harper's hood and windshield. Harper was reportedly seen reversing before speeding off in another direction and dropping a woman off at a pizzeria. He continued to flee but apparently had a change of heart after authorities released an image of his car to the public in their efforts to identify him. Harper is facing multiple charges including DUI homicide, homicide by vehicle, accident involving death, reckless endangerment, and reckless driving. Records show that he's currently in custody as he awaits his next court hearing. Number 10. Jose Luis Rodriguez. A Pennsylvania man who was already facing 1 murder charge for killing a family member has been charged in connection with 2 additional deaths. 61-year-old Jose Luis Rodriguez was first charged with the murder of 33-year-old Junior Cabrera Colon in late September. During a press conference last week, prosecutors announced that he is now accused of also killing Junior's wife and young son, Geraldina Peguero Mancibo and Jaden Cabrera Colon. Rodriguez told investigators that he and Peguero Mancebo had been involved in an intimate relationship and that he paid her rent and gave her money. He reported he confessed to shooting the woman in the head after she refused to leave her husband for him, causing him to fly into a rage. After killing Peguero Mancebo, Rodriguez went to another location and dumped her body before driving to a lake and throwing Jaden into the water. He's being held without bond at the Berks County Jail on first and third degree murder charges, along with 2 counts of abuse of a corpse, 3 weapons charges, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. Number 9. Jay Cutler. Former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler was sprung loose from jail on Wednesday evening after serving just 2.5 days of a 4-day sentence for drunk driving in Williamson County, Tennessee. The 42-year-old, who previously played for the Chicago Bears, Denver Broncos, and Miami Dolphins, had agreed to the punishment as part of a deal with prosecutors, who dropped a weapons charge in exchange for his guilty plea to a misdemeanor DUI charge. Cutler was arrested last October after rear-ending another vehicle and allegedly offering the driver $2,000 to keep the police out of the situation. Officers noted that he displayed various signs of intoxication, including slurred speech and bloodshot eyes. He refused to take a sobriety test. In addition to his very brief jail stint, Cutler was fined $350 and sentenced to a year of unsupervised probation. His driver's license was suspended for a year, and he must also attend a DUI safety class. Number 8. Jennifer Rivas. 21-year-old TV host, social media star, and college student Jennifer Nicole Rivas was found dead at her home in the Honduran capital of Tegucigalpa on Wednesday. In the tragedy's aftermath, her family speculated that the young woman passed away from an epileptic seizure and that she took medication for the condition. Rivas hosted TV shows for a living, and with 100,000 TikTok followers and counting, she was famous in her own right. She also attended the country's top college, the National Autonomous University of Honduras, where she was studying journalism. Fans were shocked to learn of her death, especially since she had posted her most recent photo hours earlier. Nothing seemed amiss in the picture, which showed Rivas standing on a pickleball court and holding a paddle. In the days since her passing, her followers have paid tribute to her in the comments section of her posts, and with heartfelt posts of their own reflecting on the difference she made in the world during her short time on Earth. Number 7. Manchester Synagogue Attack. At least 2 victims were killed and numerous others were injured on Thursday when 35-year-old Jihad al-Shami rammed his car into pedestrians and stabbed a security guard outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in Manchester, England. It was perhaps no coincidence that the attack happened on Yom Kippur, which is considered the holiest day on the Jewish calendar. Witnesses record seeing al-Shami, who had no previous police record, trying to force his way into the synagogue before police arrived on scene and shot him dead. He appeared to be wearing an explosive vest, which later turned out to be fake, and at least 2 others have reportedly been arrested in connection with the case. The victims who died have been identified as 53-year-old Adrian Dolby and 66-year-old Melvin Kravitz. One of the men died from a bullet wound, even though al-Shami did not appear to have a gun on him, leading to the suspicion that he was accidentally shot by an officer during law enforcement's efforts to stop the attack. Number 6. Adam King. 2 months after being arrested by his own deputies for harassing female employees and whistleblowers, a Texas sheriff is facing an additional charge for lying to a grand jury. During a court hearing on Thursday, Johnson County Sheriff Adam King pleaded not guilty to harassment, retaliation, and aggravated perjury. He's accused of making inappropriate comments toward at least 2 employees, including offering perks to at least 1 woman in exchange for spending time with him and threatening to have them arrested for reporting the alleged misconduct. King had initially taken leave from his job following his arrest, but the judge overseeing the case allowed him to return to work while the case is ongoing, albeit with certain restrictions. He can only be in the office 3 days per week between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. and is banned from having any contact with the 7 witnesses involved in the case, including his accusers and certain employees of his own agency. The beleaguered lawman is also required to use a private entrance and exit when coming or going from his office. Number 5. Balin Miller. A well-known Alaskan climber has fallen to his death from Yosemite National Park's famous El Capitan granite rock formation, marking the park's 3rd death this summer. 23-year-old Balin Miller passed away on Wednesday. It was also the first day of the ongoing federal government shutdown, with national parks being generally left open with limited operations. With a 3,000-foot rock face, El Capitan is one of the park's most popular features, attracting climbers from all over the globe. According to news reports, Miller was climbing alone along a 2,400-mile route called the Sea of Dreams when he fell. He had just reached the end of the route, leading to speculation that he was most likely gathering his equipment when the deadly accident occurred. Miller had gained fame in the climbing world after completing the first solo ascent of Mount McKinley's Slovak Direct earlier this year. He also enjoyed the outdoors in general and was planning to spend time with his family at Yosemite when his travels were tragically cut short. Number 4. Sarah Hartsfield. A military veteran who killed at least one of her 4 previous husbands is now on trial for the murder of her 5th husband, who died from a stroke following a suspicious medical emergency. 50-year-old Sarah Jean Hartsfield avoided criminal charges for the 2018 shooting death of her 3rd husband, David Bragg, after claiming she had acted in self-defense. Her 5th husband, Joseph Hartsfield, died less than a year after the two met and married in 2022. According to Joseph's family, he had revealed that he was planning to leave Sarah shortly before his death. Prosecutors are accusing Sarah of intentionally overdosing him with insulin and waiting hours to call 911, then using his diabetes as a cover-up for the crime. She reportedly gave inconsistent statements following her husband's passing and was subsequently charged with Joseph's murder. Sarah pleaded not guilty and adamantly denies any wrongdoing, despite red flags from her past being called to attention, including the death of her 3rd husband and her children's belief that she killed him with intent. Jury selection took place last week and the trial is scheduled to begin on Tuesday. Number 3. Carlos and Yorlady Rendon. A pair of Florida siblings are accused of running a phony dental practice in Orlando where they allegedly charged patients thousands of dollars in exchange for ill-fitting veneers and other shoddy work. Police say that Carlos Rendon and Yorlady Rendon carried on the ruse for years, despite neither of them being licensed to practice medicine or dentistry, leaving their total number of victims a mystery. News of the Rendons' arrests came last week following a years-long investigation into the case. Multiple patients have come forward with allegations against the pair, including victims who were left disfigured or who suffered infections as a result of unlicensed work that the suspects performed on their teeth. Carlos and Yorlady are reportedly facing felony charges, but authorities have yet to reveal the exact crimes that the two are accused of. Number 2. Gabrielle Stine. An Illinois woman will spend decades in prison for murdering her boyfriend, who was beaten with a baseball bat and shot to death in November of 2023. 25-year-old Gabrielle Stine is one of 3 defendants who are charged with killing 31-year-old Jameer Bew, whose body was found in a ditch in rural McLean County. Stine had placed a 911 call that led to the discovery, but denied any involvement in Bew's murder until investigators traced the victim's last movements and found evidence implicating her in the case. 28-year-old Justin G. Kletz and 20-year-old Derek Sebring agreed to participate in the crime after Stine told them that Bew had assaulted her in her sleep. The 2 men beat Bew in a fit of rage before stuffing him into the trunk of Stine's car and driving him out to the site where his body was found. Once there, they threw the victim into a ditch and sprayed him with bullets. Stine pleaded guilty to first-degree murder last Tuesday and was sentenced to 40 years in prison. Her conviction comes following the guilty pleas of her co-defendants, with Sebring receiving a 65-year prison term while Kletz was sentenced to 35 to 75 years behind bars. Number 1. Alfred Jackson Jr. A petty argument between 2 motorists ended with one party dead and 2 individuals behind bars. Details of the incident were revealed last Monday in news reports just hours after the altercation had taken place. 26-year-old Alfred Jackson Jr. and 24-year-old Olivia Guster are accused of killing 30-year-old Fernando Toby Carranza, who was found suffering from a gunshot wound at a 24-hour quick trip in Denton. He died from his injuries at a nearby hospital, and investigators determined that the shooting stemmed from an argument in the parking lot between the suspects and victim over who had the right-of-way. By the time police arrived, the suspects had fled the premises. They were arrested just 2.5 miles away from the crime scene and have since been charged with murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and evading arrest or detention. Jackson remains in custody at the Denton County Jail with bond set at $2.11 million, while Guster is being held at the same facility in lieu of $1 million bond.